For taking the time to sit with me today. If you could just take a minute and tell me about yourself, including some strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so my background, I started in the military as far as work-wise, and I did a lot of things in the military as far as with leadership and things like that. Had a platoon of 43 soldiers, went to Iraq, came back, but that was some of my early years as far as some of my work experiences. That a lot of those things have shaped the way I've had. A lot of the values I've learned have been all from the military. So like leadership, loyalty, duty, things like that. So a lot of things that have shaped me have come from the military. Other than that, I'm a family man. I've got 2 kids, wife, been married for 20 years. Just looking to move on to another job right now, and that's why I'm kind of here now. So as far as like my strengths, things that I'm really good at, I do a lot of as far as like processes. So like I like to make things efficient. So in the workplace, I think that adds a lot of value because what we want to do is save time. We want to save money, and so I like looking at processes and be able to take those processes, improve them, make them more efficient, so we can actually spend those resources elsewhere. Some of the other things that I really like to do that are just part of my personality, there's strengths in general, would be, how do you say, so the,
You're good.
let me cut. Another thing I really am good about is I take the emotion out of the decision. So when I make a decision, I'm not using my emotions or not, it's all based on facts. So what I see in front of me, everything I've learned about the situation, I'm taking those things and I'm using those to kind of make my decision. I'm not going to leave it up to emotion to make that decision. So that kind of leads me into something that's challenging for me. So sometimes I might seem like I'm distant or things like that, as far as I might not get to know someone as well. And so the things I work on a lot with interpersonal skills, just trying to get to know people better. So I try to get to know them and try to be vulnerable in front of them. So part of my leadership style is I actually lead by example. And so doing that, sometimes people don't necessarily get to know you as well. So what I've done is when I'm in front of people that I have like group settings, I actually share things that are vulnerable, and that helps the relation between us to grow and get better. But that's kind of me in a nutshell as far as like strengths and some challenging things for me. I have a question for you though.
Yeah, by all means.
What kind of, so you're giving a job to or you're giving a task or something like that. Do you have a lot of guidelines or are there a lot of restraints to those things, or you just give me an objective and all I have to do is find out, like, get to the objective? There's not going to be like, hey, you have to do this, this, and this to get to the objective. There's going to be a lot of leeway.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question, and it'll vary depending on the project. Everything's a little bit different from one quarter to the next, so it's at an at-need basis. Out of curiosity, do you handle change well?
Not always do I handle change well, to be quite honest. But in the military, things were changing all the time. So I adapted in those situations. I didn't have any trouble adapting because the first thing they tell you, once you have a plan, and once you start something and you start that thing, the plan is going to go out the window and you're just going to go rely on your training. So,
well, that's perfect. Well, thank you very much, Blaine. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Paul Ketchum, and I'm the superintendent of Batesville Community School Corporation, and I'm truly honored to have the opportunity to share a little bit about myself with you today as I look to potentially work for you in your business. So I've grown up in southeastern Indiana, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, but moved to Indiana in 7th grade in 1984. Attended East Central Junior Middle School, High School. At the time when I went to East Central, it was 7 through 12. It's changed quite a bit since I left East Central. Went to college at Northern Kentucky University and began my professional career as a teacher. I was a football coach and a teacher at various schools in the area, and really found that I was interested in becoming an administrator during my teaching career. I taught biology and human anatomy, and I started to emulate some great educators around me, and I began to learn and pick their brain about how they led buildings, how they made decisions. Then I went to school and earned my principal's license, I became a principal at Milan High School, and in the meantime, went back and earned my, it's called an education specialist, it's a superintendent's license, and became a superintendent in Milan in 2013. Had the opportunity to join the Batesville School family in January of 2017, and where I've been for the last 8 years. It's been the greatest professional experience I've had in my life. The opportunity to lead the staff and students and be a part of this community has really been changing professionally for me, and here's why. I'm able to interact with so many business leaders in the community, and as a superintendent, I'm less of an educational leader as maybe a principal or teacher, and I am more of a CEO, where I'm managing operations, budgets, finances. The difference is that I now know that when I make those decisions, they impact student outcomes. And my responsibility as a superintendent of Batesville Community School Corporation relies on my ability to leverage finances impactfully so there's a huge return on that investment. So again, that's a brief overview of who I am and how I got here today. You know, some of the characteristics that I take a lot of pride in is my ability to work within a team, my ability to kind of get the maximum effort out of people for the right reasons, and to make sure that everyone understands clearly what the goal is. And again, our goal at Batesville Community School Corporation is to make sure that students are Bulldog ready, and that starts in kindergarten. It starts with early literacy. So Bulldog ready begins with early literacy, and we continue to stack that knowledge. But in the meantime, we bake in experiences, attributes, and guaranteed experiences. And what those guaranteed experiences are opportunities for students to try careers on, to create relevance in the classroom, to uncover student passions. And by doing that, it allows the student to find that relevance they need to connect the dots, whether it's Spanish class or math class or English class. My goal is through Bulldog Ready, they have an understanding of the why it's important, how they connect that knowledge, foundational knowledge, to a potential career, and for lack of a better term, try things on before they leave Batesville High School. And our staff has done a really good job in our Bulldog Ready initiative connecting community partners to student experiences and leveraging not just the four walls of our school, but our zip code, the 47006. So again, as a superintendent, I take a lot of pride in my skill set, and I learned a lot of my skills through productive struggles. You know, life is not always perfect. There are definitely opportunities when things fail. You learn from those opportunities, you evolve, you refine, and you progress forward. And that's one of our attributes, grit and drive. And I'm so happy with our attributes. Those are community attributes. So if nothing else, during Bulldog Ready, if you're able to embrace the 7 attributes and put those in your daily life, you're going to be a successful Bulldog. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.